Hey LeGrand Alive, this is Coffee with Will, brought to you by Grand Ron Hospital, Northwest Furniture and Mattress, Anything 2 Digital, EONI, and Les Schwab Tire Center. And I'm here today with Captain Greg Wooldridge, who is a candidate for the Oregon State Governor, who has graciously traveled to Eastern Oregon to be on my show Coffee with Will and chat with me a little bit about himself, as well as what he's running for and on his candidacy. So thank you so much for joining me here today, Greg. I really appreciate you being here.
I'm glad to be here.
So something that is really interesting about Greg is that he was the commander, flight leader of the Blue Angels flight group. They're a group that goes around and tours nationally and internationally? And do crazy flight stunts so people can watch and enjoy. And he was the leader for 3 terms, or tours as they call it. And I'm kind of very interested to talk to you a little bit about how the leadership of that Blue Angels group is going to carry over into your candidacy. So tell me just briefly, what is the Blue Angels and how did you fit in with all of that?
The Blue Angels is a Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron. Been around
That's the official name.
Yeah, been around since 1946, gotten better, and the culture has developed firmer and firmer every year. And they do recruiting. It's a recruiting tool for the Navy. Go all over the country, went all over Europe. Actually, first time ever that the team went to Moscow, and the last time it ever went to Moscow. So, but and in a positive way. So I got to lead the team, and it's really based on trust because we fly so close together. It's like, you know, at 400 knots, we're 36 inches apart. So that's like the distance between us, our faces right now. Can you imagine that being that close?
No, I can't.
Flying,
that's why you did that.
Maneuvering. And it takes a while to get to that level. So you come to the team, and we pick people that are pretty good at pilots and good, easy to get along with. You know, the personality is almost more important than the flying skills. So we pick people that have great personalities because the way the training goes, the way we develop belief levels was so critical that teaches you that you can actually do what we did as you join the team. You go, I could never get to that level of performance, but you can, and you build the trust, and once the trust is established, based on some characteristics that I can tell you about if you like, but once the trust is established, then you get to where you can fly these high-performance maneuvers safely, and that's the goal.
Well, and you know, I recently had a chat with Laura Eckstein, who was a candidate for district attorney here in Union County, and you know, she's a CrossFit trainer. One thing she always tells about her athletes is that you're capable of so much more than you think you are. You know, and you know, being a distance runner, I also realize that, you know, you think that you're not capable of something, but your body is more capable. And I wonder if maybe that's the same way that it is with you know, flying.
That's exactly right. We talk about, you know, you perform at a level that is never exactly what you can achieve. You can really achieve at a higher level. You just have to raise your beliefs that you can do that. And that's what we're always about in the Blue Angels, raising our beliefs. And that's what the belief levels and the trust is what I want to bring to Oregon between the head of state, if you will, the governor, and the rest of the electorate in Oregon. We don't have that trust anymore, and people don't believe in government. And I want to be an open servant leader, transparent, listen and then respond. Not just listen. Anybody can listen, but to respond and put a plan out there. That's what we really want to do. And that's what I think I can do because that's how we learned in the Blue Angels. I also got to command a major naval air station in California, the biggest Navy air station in the country. And it's remote, and it had all these functions just like a state government. And it all came to my team to make sure that all worked right. And it's similar to leading a state. Difference is that I had total responsibility for whatever happened. So if we misplaced $30,000, if you will, I was going to lose my job likely. Very high level of responsibility and a high level of trust. The expectations were well defined, and those are the things I want to bring that to Salem as the governor.
So that's interesting, the belief systems, the belief that you can or that government can do something. Because I think you're right. Many people, especially young people, have kind of become disillusioned with government, disillusioned with the power of government to make any real lasting social change or personal change that affects them, either period or in a good way. Why has that happened, do you think? And how do you think that will change, both either by your candidacy, or just in general?
I think part of trust, a big factor in trust is truth, right? It's part of the integrity issue. You have to be truthful. And that's what we're lacking. My father was raised in an orphanage. And he said that was the best thing that ever happened to him. He wouldn't have been as successful as he was had he not been raised in an orphanage, had he been left in the environment that he was in. But one thing they taught him was never lie, always tell the truth. So as I was growing up, he said, you better not ever lie, lie to me. So I really value truth, and I think that's what's broken the trust between the electorate and state government, is obfuscation, hiding things, not being open, not being transparent, not being truthful, and not holding, like, agency heads in government accountable. The governor has not done that. Dennis Richardson, great guy, got elected as Secretary of State. He has pointed out through his duties as the auditor, basically auditing all these agencies, where those shortfalls have been allowed to happen to the tune of millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. So all that, bringing truth and transparency to government, that's what's critical. And when I talked about beliefs, I wasn't just talking about the people in government, I was talking about the electorate.
Yeah.
You and all the folks around here believing that they can do more than they thought they could. And a lot of times government tampers that down, that ability to reach for that gold ring, to feel like you can be exceptional. And that's where government needs to back away, peel the red tape, and allow folks to seek their dreams and go after it, raise their beliefs in themselves. And that's what I want to establish in the state as a governor and throughout state government. So I want to get that trust within the staff of the state, but also it's got to be with the voters and with the electorate. And voters is not the word, just Oregonians, right?
Yeah.
I want them to be able to trust government and know that it's not going to be an impediment to them, it's going to be an enabler to let them go and reach that dream they might have.
So rather than getting in the way of the things that they're trying to do, you want it to be something that is honest and truthful with what they can do, and then get out of the way and let the people do and reach for those goals.
Excellent, Will. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
So that kind of, interestingly enough, goes back to, something that you said in your biography is emotional solidarity. Trust is built, you said, in truth. How was that in the Blue Angels? How did that actualize in the Blue Angels? How was your leadership actualized in that?
Well, you've heard the expression EQ, right? It's kind of an adjunct to IQ. People say a leader has to have high IQ. Well, nowadays we talk about EQ, emotional quotient, if you will, the ability to connect emotionally with people. And I say, to connect emotionally, first you connect to the heart. And once you connect at the heart, especially with Oregonians, we are just rich people in our beliefs and our drive and our individualism and our ruggedness, Connect at the heart. Once you connect at the heart, then the mind starts to process what your feeling is. So that's that EQ thing, connect at the heart. And that's what we did on the Blues with our teammates. We connected to the heart. How's the kids doing? Get really involved and understand what the families are all about. And what your fears might be, and how to allay those fears, how to reach them and make them go away. And it's all part of EQ. I don't want to label it as such, but it's something from the outside you could look in and say, "Oh, there's some stuff going on there that works pretty good," and that's how we established it. Just being really close. Another thing, a reality of being on the team was we were on the road about 300 days out of the year.
Wow!
So we saw each other more than we did our families, and we could see somebody walk into the ready room, and I could see one of my wingmen walk in, and I could say, "Hey, Hoops," one of the guys' call sign was Hoops. "Hey, Hoops, what's going on, man? You all right? Things going okay?" You can immediately tell if something was happening at home, just by the expression, and you learned that, and that's that building of that emotional bond too. when you can reach out.
Yeah.
You're so close that you can reach out in a very positive way.
And that's so interesting. And I respect that very much, because I think a lot of times we tend to be on the level of leaving emotion out of politics. Right. Take emotions, we keep our minds here, and our emotions, we go out there. But you seem to rather prefer to harness that emotion and that passion and connect with that passion, rather than just kind of neglecting it in your politics.
I'd say that's something that's different about me. I'm not a politician. I've never held elected office, but I've been charged with the responsibility of leadership and the accountability of being a leader. So I don't get into the standard phraseology of politics, right?
Yeah.
And like most people, I don't particularly like it. I want to connect. I want to just be the guys in the coffee shop having a coffee with you. I don't want to be, whoa, here we are in Oregon, and I'm going to do this. I want to say, I'm not going to say, we're going to do this. I want to say, how's it going? Are you having a good day? Are you having a bad day? What's holding you back? What's holding you back in Oregon? What can we do better for you?
So it seems like your approach to leadership, rather than doing things, is listening to people and inspiring them to go after their goals for themselves, and then helping them in the process.
Exactly.
Wow.
When I in my leadership positions in the Navy, no matter what level of leadership, I was always grooming people to take my job, essentially, right? I wanted them to see that this job is really a lot of fun. It's challenging, but it's not impossible. And even on the Blue Angels, when you bring in new wingmen, you want them to see that this is going to be a lot of fun, very challenging. But I wanted to groom them. I wanted to give them all the tools they needed, and the trust and the encouragement, and commit to them and get their commitment back. And the loyalty issue comes up too. A lot of great words, that weave into this connective thing with people.
Wow. Wow. Well, I really respect all of that. Now, that all being said, I think one thing that's, on the forefront of people's minds is, how is that going to all reflect here into Eastern Oregon? As ultimately what you were saying, not what you can do for me, but what the government can do for you. How is all that going to tie in? How are you going to seek to inspire people here in Eastern Oregon to reach their goals and do those things if you're elected to governor?
Great question. What I see in Eastern Oregon, what I see in Southern Oregon, what I see in the areas away from the Willamette Valley is people are, quite frankly, in a little bit of a distress because the economy is not serving them. They're not able, it seems like they're having a hard time making the connection between stewardship of the environment, of the beauty that we have here in Oregon. This place is as beautiful as, I've been to New Zealand. They say, go to New Zealand, no. Oregon is just as prettier, if not prettier. So preserving that beauty and the environment, at the same time, being able to get people to work, right? And doing the things that the environment provides for them, whether it be timber or water or the land to graze their cattle or whatever their desires are. And that's been so diminished over the last 30 or 40 years in Oregon that we need to find a way to marry that together. And I see that especially in Eastern Oregon. And we had a great conversation the other day with a gentleman down at the Wallowa Resources, a nonprofit, and he's just got some great ideas on how to bring the private sector and public use of lands together. And that's what we're looking for in Eastern and Southern Oregon is being able to marry those things together. Most importantly, recognizing that there are things that need to be looked after in Eastern Oregon.
Yeah.
And now I do. I'm not sure if the governor's been out here very much, but I'm here now. I'll be back when I'm governor, and I want to hear what's going on. And I want to get you the ability to go where you want to go.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, we're running out of time here. The last thing I want to ask you, and if you can either look at the camera or you can look at me, whichever is more comfortable for you. I want you to tell LeGrand Alive what's one tip that you might have for being a good leader in whatever leadership capacity they might be in their lives right there. Obviously, probably not as big as anything like the Blue Angels, but maybe it's just leading their family or leading a team at the job or something like that.
I would just say, as a leader in your job or as a head of the family or head of a soccer team, that you're honest with people, honest with your teammates, honest with your family, honest with your employees, and you encourage them and you give them latitude to create. Sometimes when we build too many rules and we suppress people, like quite frankly the state does sometimes, we don't give them the latitude to be creative and make things and do things. We need to do that as a leader with families, with whomever we're dealing. And once you do that, that's loyalty to them. Loyalty comes back to you, and then the trust develops. And I like to look at trust with, how much time do I have? With 4 C's.
Go for it.
Four C's. The first one is competence between each other. You show you're competent to do something, especially in a business. You don't have to be the best, but competent. The second one is that character, the integrity, the truthfulness, the honesty. Those are big words and characters. That's second C. Third C is commitment. If you're working in a work environment, you as the boss, you as an employee are both committed. You have the commitment to get things done and get them done right. And the fourth thing is consistency. So if you lose consistency, if you're not consistent, either as the boss or as the wingman, then you lose, that trust starts to break down. So those 4 C's, as you develop a team, as you develop a family, you have to have consistency to build the trust. So,
absolutely. Well, thank you
welcome,
so
Will.
much for coming in and chatting with me, and thank you, Le Grand Alive. This has been Coffee with Will with Captain Greg Wooldridge, brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress, Grand Ron Hospital, Anything 2 Digital, EONI, Les Schwab Tire Center. Be sure to like and share the video, and if you see any of the people in these stores, be sure to thank them for what they do. Proprietary business, we could not host these shows without them. So, thanks, Le Grand Alive. I'm Will Bowman. See you next time on Coffee with Will.